Welcome to the International Press Conference for the Ninjago movie, and we have the cast and the producer of the movie coming, starting with Zach Woods, Michael Peña, Kumail Nanjiani, Abbi Jacobson, Olivia Munn, Theroux, Dave Franco, and producer Dan Lin. Thank you all for being here today. Huge expectation for this movie, especially after the success of the two previous Lego movies. So I guess, Dan, I'll start with you. How was it to produce this third Lego movie, and what were the challenges?
Every Lego movie is different. We're trying to build a Lego movie universe. The first one is our action-adventure movie. The second one was our superhero movie. This is our version of a martial arts kind of giant robot movie. So I think the challenge for us is how do we constantly innovate with each movie? How do we make it feel different? How do we make it feel cinematic? Have kind of the similar Lego movie tone, but bring something new to it. So you guys will see we brought some new live action elements into the movie. The movie looks beautiful. I think it's the most beautiful Lego movie we've done so far. And we have some organic elements. You'll see real grass, real water, real trees. It's a really different look. And obviously we have an amazing comedy cast here, so we're really excited.
So speaking of the cast, I'm going to ask each one of you to talk a bit about your character. And please project your voice because we don't have microphones. It's kind of a big room. So I'll start with you, Dave, and of course with your character, Lloyd, the Green Ninja.
Yeah, so Lloyd's a pretty complex character. He is the son of Lord Garmadon, who is known as the most evil man on the planet. And everyone in the city knows that Garmadon's his dad, and so they treat him pretty horribly because of it. And so by day, he's a pretty tortured high school kid, but then by night, he has a secret identity where he's the Green Ninja, and he protects his home city against Garmadon. But everyone he's protecting are these people who are so mean to him, but none of them know that he's the Green Ninja, and so he doesn't get any of that glory. So it's like this really, like I said, complex character.
Justin, what's it like to play a man known as the worst guy ever?
I'm the worst guy ever too, so it wasn't like, no, it was it's fabulous. Like, it was really fun because it's also a complex, even though it's hysterical, like a lot of the relationships. It's fun to sort of play off Dave's character, the Green Ninja, because he also doesn't know that that's his son either, and they learn through the course of the movie that his son is actually his enemy and his nemesis, along with the other ninjas. So it was, I don't know. It was that fun father-son relationship. He's the complete narcissist, awful guy, and the worst guy in the world, and yeah.
And then we're missing the mother here, Olivia.
Yeah, and this is my ex-wife.
Well, so Coco is the ex-wife of Garmadon, mother of Lloyd, and she's the mayor of the city, and she has a secret identity as well, but the most important thing to her is to be a great mother to Lloyd, and he's in that awkward stage of his life where I think a lot of boys are in the adolescent period, and she's trying to help him through it, and it just complicates things even further that his dad is the worst man in the world. But it was hard for me to play it because she's so upbeat, and my only reference of a mother is an Asian mother, and my mom's very mean, very mean Asian mother. So trying to be upbeat and positive all the time was a struggle. It's the hardest acting I've ever done.
And Nia is played by Abbi. She's a water ninja, very cool character.
Yeah, I love Nia. She's really competitive, like me. She's really competitive. She's the one girl ninja, so she's kind of trying to hold her own with all the guys. She rides a motorcycle. She's kind of a biker chick. She's always upgrading her bike and doing new stuff to it. Kai's her brother, and they're pretty competitive. Love-hate relationship.
More love.
More love. Yeah, way more love. Yeah, she's sort of really outgoing, really intense, down to get into things.
And Kumail, what can you say about Jay?
I play Jay. He's the most handsome of the ninjas.
Very handsome.
He has the most handsome voice of all of the ninjas. He's the coolest. His skin is still not the color of my skin, so that's part of it too. He's a very emotional guy. He gets scared when there's danger. His first reaction is paralyzed fear, but then his second reaction is paralyzed fear, and then he acts, and then he does the right thing, and he's sort of in love with Nia. He doesn't think anyone knows. Everybody knows, and he can't quite get the courage to sort of confess his love to her.
Wow, this just happened.
Wow.
And then the brother.
Yeah, the brother's, he's like the opposite. He's not a complex character. He's a very simple guy. He's just fire, fuego. And he's a very loyal guy. He's very protective of his sister and he doesn't want anybody to mess with his crew. I mean, that's really all about it. But you know what's funny? Like I kind of done this thing before, and you like, and it's voiceover, so you're like, yeah, it's a very passionate thing. And then you see the movie, and it's nothing like that, because it depends on what take they use, you know. So for all I know, it could be like a psychopath.
I hope you don't ever record any of this.
Right?
I feel like there's some like missing phones.
Yeah,
you guys left your phones out here.
What kind of phone is this?
That's the new Android.
And then we've got one that's made out of titanium.
Yeah, I play Zane, who's a robot who has aspirations to be a normal teen, but none of the appropriate references. So he thinks teens like Buddy Holly and old sock hops and shit like that. And
Don't say shit.
oh yeah, right, because it's a Lego movie, but kids aren't watching the press conference. They're so precocious. The kid who's watching the press conference has heard that word before.
Yeah.
Worse ones.
Yeah, shit, fuck.
Yeah. So he's a robot, and he's emotionless, but wants desperately to experience the warmth of human feeling, and so he's sort of emotionally remote, distant, but wants to feel connected to people. So it's also a fairly autobiographical role for me. And I don't know. And I realize now Nia is water, so his power is ice, but he's just like a cold version of Nia. It's kind of anticlimactic when you look at that.
All right, we have a question over there, Karen.
You mentioned starting or being in the middle of creating a Lego universe. I was just wondering if there is a guidelines or a handbook for being a Lego minifigure. I mean, you said something like you can't say shit or fuck, but I mean.
Well, we did have we all had to live with Legos for a couple of months just to see how they
We lived at Legoland for a couple months just for research.
So, but is there like things that a Lego minifigure should not or cannot do?
Well, we
get
try to
shrunk?
keep the minifigures, they move as close to the real toy as possible, because the whole idea with these movies is your toy set come alive. And it's probably the biggest challenge of this movie because it's an action movie. And so they have to do martial arts and all this fighting with robots, but with the way the arm joints move. So I think that's a big challenge. But otherwise, we're really just updating and designing the minifigures. They're based off the TV show characters, and how do we update it for the movie version?
Okay, Anke, we had a question.
Yeah. If I came visit you at your house, each of you, would I find Lego laying around somewhere, secretly? And do you have an inner ninja in you? Which
Yeah, I
one
keep
would
a
you
bunch
be?
of Lego under my pillow every night.
I'm
I get into
a
character.
single 32-year-old man, so if I had a house full of Legos, it would be suspect.
Yeah,
It would raise some
Where are you
serious
hiding them?
questions.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's a city full of them right now.
I actually do have Legos at my home.
And he's married.
Because I'm married to the actress who plays Unikitty in the first Lego movie. So we have a couple Unikitties laying around, and quick story. So our friend, his kids are obsessed with Lego, and so he found out that she was Unikitty, and then when he found out that I was the Green Ninja, kind of paused, really tried to process what that meant. He finally said, "So Unikitty loves Green Ninja?" And it's the sweetest thing we've ever heard, and we say it to each other all the time.
If you were a ninja, which ninja would you be? Like fire ninja, water ninja.
I mean,
So
the one
what
I'm paying
ninja
for,
would
I
you be?
guess.
Yeah, I'm this one.
It'd be like the quiet apology ninja.
No, but my son, just for the record, I mean, that's why I jumped to be in this movie, because we watched every single episode of this thing, and he's like almost like the Game of Thrones people, where he knows all the backstory. He's got books on it. Like him and his, I'm not bullshitting you. He literally just came back from like a Lego conference, where they
You just sent your kid
they
to a Lego
exchanged.
conference?
He's gonna end up here one day. Dude.
Yeah.
You know,
How old is your kid?
he's 8.
Who's his favorite character?
It's Lloyd.
Oh.
Well, because like it's different from the TV show. In the TV show, it was like no one knew who was going to be the Green Ninja, and then like they fight, and Lloyd is like this little character, and all of a sudden he becomes a Green Ninja. This is crazy. I'm saying this. No, yeah. Okay, I read the books too. No, but I want to be the dad that's kind of involved. You know?
Kind of.
No, but we have a room that's like we have a room that like is just for Legos, because he just loves them. Yeah, he just does comic. You know,
This is what people do. They put the baseboards on the wall and use it as wallpaper, and then you just have all your Legos that get.
Oh yeah, we boarded them up.
No, you really.
He has to play for
Yeah,
it.
Adriano?
Okay, thank you.
As an actor, which is the biggest challenge in order to deliver a performance without being able to use your body, but only your voice?
I think we are using our. I mean,
Yeah, you have to
you're
use your
kind
body.
of using your body if you're gesticulating, going big or going small. But I find it like incredibly liberating. Like you don't. There's no. Oftentimes we're not in the same room together, so you're just kind of left to your own devices. You and the director and the engineers. And you can just scream and talk and shout for 5 or 6 hours, and then they take it back to the lab and do what they do, splice it up, and then start animating it. So I find it like incredibly fun. Like you can just improvise and with sort of a zero consequence. So
It's a great practice in like letting your ego go, and you realize like how much better the work can be when you're not afraid of looking stupid or sounding stupid, because you just got the other guy. You have a director, Charlie, who's like listening in, and whenever you stop, when you just let yourself go, you can see him smile, and you realize like every time you just drop it and drop your guard, and you just don't care about looking stupid or sounding stupid, like then the best work comes out. So I think that's been something that you can take with you on like in live action too.
We don't. Yeah, there was one day where we were together recording, but I don't know if you guys have recorded together.
No.
Maybe everyone else is recording together.
We've been meeting with
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But I'm in New York, and the studio I go into has the best thing, which is this bar in front of the. And I am like so physical. Yeah. No, it's a bar. It's a constant shot. The kids are like,
really loosen it up.
It's a physical bar, but I often have to like hold on to it, because with the voiceover, I feel very physical with it. I often need to hold on to things. So.
It's also good we can play characters we wouldn't be able to play. Like I'd never be able to play a ninja in a movie, but with this I get to play a badass ninja. Great.
Let's go.
Hey everyone. Obviously a movie like this is entertainment, but like the first two showcased, there's interesting life lessons and social reflections that kind of come out as the story unfolds. I know you don't want to give too much away, but from what you've seen so far with your characters, what do you think those life lessons are? What do you think that in this action adventure story we're going to be coming out and discussing? God, it's really a reflection of.
Well, I'll start because I've seen the most of the movie than all these guys. I think it's really about empathy for us, and it's about you have to love others before you love yourself. And in this case, there's a big conflict rivalry between Dave's character Lloyd and Garmadon, and Lloyd is just upset that his dad is the villain of the movie and taking over the town. And over this, it's like a road trip journey where he learns what's lovable about his dad, and the two of them have a good relationship over the course of the movie, and also resolving kind of all the different issues that each of these ninjas have on their own as well. So I think all our Lego movies are about family, and it's about family told in a different way. So in the first movie, Dave's wife worked on that movie. It was about Chris Pratt's character Emmett finds his version of family. So he's really lonely at the beginning. His only friend is Planty, and then he finds Wild Style and Metalbeard and his whole gang. Lego Batman, it was Batman who was also kind of a solo operator, and he finds his form of family through Robin and Alfred and Batgirl, and this group finds their source of family. They're a ninja team, but they're fighting. There's a lot of issues between the group, and certainly a lot of issues between Lloyd's character and Garmadon, and they learn to resolve those issues and form their version of a ninja family over the course of the movie.
And just along those lines, if you guys could just reflect really quickly, looking back over the history of animation and the films that you saw as a child, what were the ones that resonated with you with those life lessons? It's something kind of stuck with you from an animated film.
Like Popeye and spinach, like eating your vegetables?
Yes!
Because that's what my mother used for me to eat vegetables.
Did it work?
No.
I think in a perfect world, like the animated movies, I mean, you can go really far back and look at ones that are terrifying, and have these, like Dumbo, there's that scene at the beginning, or Bambi, when his mother gets shot. I mean, those really ran right at it. Obviously, I don't think this movie does the same thing. But I think if the underlying themes in the movie, even though there are lots of fun and lots of action, the underlying themes are true, and if you're basing it on some sort of a real emotion, real thing, a real father-son relationship, I think even when we would improvise or talking about the script, we'd always sort of go back to, well, what would really happen? What's the real emotional center and dynamic, and then make it obviously more fun. Shoot it, but like movies like The Lion King, would be one where like that movie has such punch, but you can also enjoy it, just cinematically as well.
Yeah, I never realized before, like parents, I guess the lesson you learn from animated films is that your parents aren't safe, because it's like Lion King, he dies, Dumbo, he's enslaved.
That's why your dad's the worst guy ever.
Yeah, it's like, look forward to orphans.
And it's usually the father's fault, isn't it?
Aladdin starts with him as an orphan.
Yeah.
His parents have died before
They
the
didn't
movie
even feel like we were to show it, yeah.
What I love about our movie is that, like, the original Lego movie, was like about family, but this one, we're seeing Lloyd's character, in school and feeling ostracized and dealing with that. I feel like there's so many kids right now that feel like the odd man out at school and feel like they're targeted and that they don't belong, they don't fit in, and I felt like at least from the perspective of the mother trying to relay some kind of message to the son, it was that you can't pick your family, you can't pick your mom or your dad, but you have a choice in who you get to be. And I think that's kind of a lesson that a lot of kids can learn out there, that you can't control the kids at school, you can't control what your mom or dad are going to do, but you get to write your character and be the person that you want to be when you look back on your story. And I think that's what we see happen with Lloyd. He learns that there's a lot of things he can't control, but the one thing that he can't control, he should, and he does.
Right. Thank you.
Brett?
Dan, you touched on this a little bit, that each of the films tackle kind of a different genre, but there's a similarity in tone. It occurs to me each of them are also about daddy issues, or parent-child issues, emotional estrangement. Is there something about the way that Legos inherently kind of straddle the world of children and adults, Legos the toys, I mean, that makes that a good narrative fit for each film?
I think part of it is our movies try to play to both adults and kids. And so when you watch it, adults will be laughing at jokes the kids may not get, and there's some physical comedy that the kids really laugh, the adults may think is silly. So when you have that kind of construct, thematically we're trying to hit kind of bigger themes as well. Like what Olivia was talking about, we want people to just enjoy the movies and think they're really fun. And the magic trick of the movie is that we actually surprise you with real emotion, and we surprise you with like a real lesson at the end. We don't want to be preachy, because who wants to see that kind of movie? But we want you to just really enjoy the movies. But they're they look simple, but when you look at it, it's actually pretty sophisticated how we try to have a really kind of good take-home message for you at the end. But ultimately, all these movies we're trying to replicate the Lego playing experience. So I know, Michael, you play Lego with your kid. When you're playing Lego with your kid, you're talking through things. Hopefully it's not just playing, but you're working out, different family dynamics. I think that's what we want to reflect in the movies as well.
We have another question here in the front.
Yeah, Dan, Lego Movie Universe means we're all looking forward to crossovers. Which characters from the world of the Lego movies would you like to see crossover with Ninjago?
Ninjago really stands on its own. I think the first we had the most cameos of any of our Lego movies, but with Lego, this is not a spin-off movie. Sorry, this is not a sequel. This is its own movie. So we really wanted the Lego Ninjago Movie to stand on its own. So it's not really, aren't many cameos in the movie.
But I really think Jay would be good in like the next Lego movie or like Lego Batman 2. Like
Or even anything from Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah, I think he would be really good in any of your existing properties. And he's got some free time, I hear.
And Dave, surely you'd like a crossover with your wife?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Spreading
that word.
Okay, so I know this is an animation movie, but you guys don't have to like act out the scenes and everything, but you guys have to take martial arts lesson to like have the voice that comes out when you fight and stuff like that. And then let's say if you guys are in a real life battle, which character would you bring with you as your partner?
Well, I'm an actual black belt in real life, so for me it was very. I'm joking.
He's a black belt in sleep jitsu.
Yeah.
I'm a black belt in sleep.
I took one karate class once and immediately peed in my gi. So I had an inauspicious martial arts career. If I could
Why did you pee in your...
Well, I had this
I don't think that's a decision.
There was a kindly sensei who I asked to go to the bathroom, and she was like, just a second, and then she got wrapped up in what she was monologizing about and forgot. And I followed instructions, so I was like, I guess I can't go to the bathroom. And yeah, in a self-defense test, I couldn't even defend myself against my own body.
Now you're a robot ninja.
And now I'm a robot ninja.
I went to one karate class, and the sensei flipped a kid, and I walked out. I didn't want to be flipped.
I actually do have a black belt in Taekwondo.
Do you really?
I do.
Everybody's quiet.
I know. But that's just because my mom's Asian. We have to take Taekwondo. And
My mom's Asian. I didn't do karate.
We're like Far East Asia.
Right. Okay.
Different over there.
Right. Different.
Different. Yeah. I just want to drop that out there. For
Do
everybody.
you still like practice?
Yeah.
Have you ever used it?
When in 5th grade, well, it's been a long time, but in 5th grade, there's this boy hanging out after my sister and I have a stepsister the same age as me, and we were walking back from karate, and he started back in the day when I had a stepfather. His name was Boyd, and so I went by Boyd, and he was like, this is really stupid. He was like, hey, it's the boys. You guys are boys. Oh, you guys are boys. And we looked at each other and we were like, yeah, why don't you say it to our face? And so we came down and was like, okay. And then, I don't know how she did, but my sister grabbed him, turned him around, and then I literally just like,
Tore his heart out.
I just started doing all of the forms. I just literally started kicking and punching him. And she was like, my turn. I remember just, and she was holding like this, and I was like, no! And I was like practicing my background house, and then I just saw his body kind of go like this because she was kneeing him from the back. And his big brother was watching from the side. He was like, they're just girls. He's like, can't get them off of me.
I see why you're in an anti-bullying movie. You're apologizing.
No, he was the bully.
Right. I don't know.
Hey, I believe you.
He was the bully.
His body was going like this.
You were punching him while your sister was kneeing him in the spine.
And I don't think that people promote like teaching your kids to like hit and stuff, but like we were taught to hit. We were taught when somebody messes with you that you shut it down. So we did. Should I leave now?
So this sounds crazy, but we actually had stunt doubles for each of these actors here for the movie because we did something. Jackie Chan, who can't be here today because he's shooting another film, brought in the JC stunt team. And he had actually a stunt double for each of these characters. And so when you see the martial arts in the movie, and we're going to show this in later marketing materials, they did all the stunts, and then we animated against that action to the Jackie Chan stunt. So it's pretty crazy. It was amazing, wild. Yeah, but there was like wire work done. Like, they have huge fights between actually Jackie's character and Justin's character. A lot of wire work that we did, and then we animated. The animators watched all the action and animated against that. So
wow,
it sounds crazy. It was the first time we ever did that.
Wow,
so dope. I didn't know that.
It feels so unnecessary.
You'll appreciate it when you see it.
For a career in the Lego.
I'm sorry. Any WB property, I'm here.
Sorry, then just a little bit follow up on that. Just you always have something, the Asian element of a culture you wanted to put in the movie, but you couldn't, and then this time you put it except action and anything else?
No, I mean, it's just every movie is organic, whatever comes organically to the movie. In this case, Jackie Chan voices the Master Wu character, and every Lego movie we want to do something different and do something pushing technology. I don't think any animated movie's ever done this before, incorporating kind of real martial arts into animation. And so we're always trying to push the envelope, but it wasn't like I was trying to squeeze in Asian culture into the movie. This naturally fits into it.
We have another question there in the back.
Guys, my question is for Dan. So can you elaborate on your cooperation with Jackie Chan? I think you are a fan, right?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Jackie's, yeah. I don't want to reveal too much because you guys will see the movie, but he plays a big role. He plays the sensei role. He's the Master Wu character. So he has a bit of a narrator role in the movie. He also plays kind of the mentor to these ninjas. He's the teacher to these ninjas. But he really added a lot to the movie in that not only did he voice act in the movie, but also he actually did all the stunt choreography for us.
And for the cast, you about to say something. Does everybody have a secret like Jackie Chan fetish?
Whoa. Mine's not secret. I have a blog about it.
Jackie Chan's feet, that blog spot.
It's just his feet. I was a big Bruce Lee fan, and I used to have I wanted to learn to do the nunchucks, and I had a little flip book where he would like do nunchucks, and I had nunchucks, and I would watch Bruce Lee on the flip book, and then I would try and recreate it. Nunchucks are the only weapon where you hurt yourself if you're really bad at it. That's not a good idea. Yeah, yeah.
I've always loved about Jackie Chan that if you see in all of his movies, there's the theme that he struggles, he's getting beaten down, and then at the very end, when all of his will seems like it's broken, it's his own will that picks him back up, that gets him to fight to save himself, and you see the huge difference in mostly all American films. In any film, usually you see somebody else has to get hurt or somebody has to come in to save the other person, no matter who they are, something else has to happen. And Jackie, I feel like it's something that, because if you look at all his movies, it's got to be something that's in his heart, that it's like, and I think being Asian in that culture, it's like you have to, it's within yourself, no matter how much you're beaten down. He'll be hanging out of a window in the whole fight, he's not just this badass guy the whole time, he's just getting him punch, and then it's just his own sheer will that brings him back, and that's something that's always fascinated me and I've admired about his work.
He's also great for this because there's also in his films, there's always a large element of comedy. Like there's always these, even within the fights. So his sort of brand sort of really lends itself to what we did in this movie. Sort of the action sequences. So we're allowed to be silly and all that.
I think what's key for us is we cast creators. It's not just voice actors. And so Jackie's strength is not necessarily his verbal acuity. It's more the comedy that comes through his action. But even the cast here, they're all creators. So we have a strong script, and then when they come in and record, even Justin did some writing for us, Kumail and his wife did some writing. It's constantly, how do we take a structure of a movie and constantly plus it? And so that's really why we had this comedy cast. And we have a script, but then every actor comes in and brings something new to it. So we ask them to record the lines, but then they do their own versions and interpretations of the character. And that's what elevates these Lego movies.
Thank you. My question is for Justin. If you could get away with being evil for one day, what would you do?
Oh my God. There's no correct answer to that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Be president.
Maybe what?
Be president.
Be president. Oh my God, yes. I could probably, that'd be very much, well, I could never be as that evil, but as our current president. God, if I could be evil for one day, guys, does anyone else want to answer that?
No, dude. Look what they're doing. Handle it.
I don't know. Probably just eat poorly. I don't know.
I mean, you're a frequent attendee at dog fights already.
Oh yeah. Well, cockfighting and dog fighting is my thing. So, so I would stay on the books.
Thank you. What do you think it is about what is essentially a bunch of colourful plastic blocks, which has become so? It doesn't ever lose its appeal. I mean, what is it about Lego that's so epic that you're all sitting here today with your own characters?
I think I think it actually goes back to what Dan was saying, is that I think all of us, I'm assuming, have some sort of a touchstone back to Lego, and the imagination takes to play with those things. So in a weird way, a lot of other movies, they're sort of reverse engineered with sort of superhero movies. All of a sudden the movie comes out and you can go out and buy, the web slinger or the Hulk hands or whatever. And these are really much more organic in a way, in that, almost everyone who watches the movie, even the adults, have some sort of familiarity or a lot of familiarity with the toys themselves. So that, I think everyone's built something out of Lego at a certain age and sort of activated it in their own imagination. And I think these movies totally tap into it. And also, like Dan said, they play on a couple levels. There could be jokes that go over the heads of the kids that the adults can enjoy, which is not uncommon. That's been, even in Aladdin, Robin Williams was sneaking in jokes all the time, as the genie. So it's that kind of a thing. I think they're highly identifiable, and people have a visceral reaction to seeing the toys.
Does anyone remember their most epic Lego creation from when they were a kid?
Yeah, I do. I was a big Lego head, and
Go ahead.
So I built the pirate. There was a pirate ship. I built the pirate ship by myself, which was like a big deal at the time. But the best thing, I don't know why I did this, but do you remember the banks that had like the chute, like? You would drive up and you would put a check and it would like suction up into the bank. So this is the most boring thing for a child to make. I made a drive-through bank.
Oh my god!
With like 2 tellers and like these chutes. Just because as a kid I remember the suction chute being the coolest thing.
That's crazy because I used to make hedge funds. I made JP Morgan Chase.
Thank you, Zach. Wait, on the pirate ship? That was
No. The pirate ship I mentioned just to show actual skills with following instructions. The bank was of my own creation.
Yeah,
you would
the
just
pirates
buy them.
launder their money.
Yes. Yeah.
Parents are responsible with their money.
Yes.
Bless you. And bless all of you, and thank you for coming here today.
Thank you.